We are going to look at the answer for slide 9 of the Desmos, which asks us to solve for all solutions for x cubed minus 5x squared plus 11x minus 15, keyword being all, and the fact that we have a cubic tells us we're going to have three solutions. And it also tells us given x equals 3 is a solution. Well, I know that if x equals 3 is a solution, then x minus 3 is a factor. And that factor is my divisor that I'm going to use. So I'm going to divide the cubic by the factor of x minus 3. So time to set up my box. As always, start with what we know, and we know my leading term is x cubed. And if my leading term is x cubed, that's because I multiplied by an x squared. And if I multiply by an x squared times negative 3 is going to give me negative 3x squared. Now from here, I need to figure out what the other piece of my diagonal is, knowing that negative 3x squared plus whatever is in that top box is going to give me a negative 5x squared. Well, the only option is negative 2x squared. So using negative 2x squared, what was multiplied? Well, if I started with x and I multiplied to get negative 2x squared, I know I would have had to multiply by a negative 2 and an x, so negative 2x. Negative 2x times negative 3 is going to give me 6x for this box. And again, I got to figure out what's happening on my diagonal. On the diagonal, it's going to be the sum of 6x plus something, and that something needs to total 11x. Well, 6x plus 5x, that's going to get me my 11x. And again, if I started with x and I multiplied by something to get 5x, that something must have been a positive 5. And as a quick check, 5 times negative 3 is going to be a negative 15, which does indeed match that last term of my cubic equation, so I'm good to go. So now, right now that I've divided it, I now have this quadratic equation, as we know, makes up that second factor in the factored form. So I have x minus 3 times x squared minus 2x plus 5. And this is what I'm going to use to solve. I have my two pieces. I'm going to set them equal to 0. X minus 3 equal to 0. X squared minus 2x plus 5 equal to 0. Now I solve. Well, this first one's going to be easier. I'm just adding 3 to both sides. So I get the solution of x equals 3. Now the second one, going to have a quadratic, so I need to solve a quadratic. Well, if we go the factoring route, it'd be the two things that multiply to be 5 and add to be negative 2. Well, my only options that multiply to 5 are 1 and 5. And no matter how you add them, they're not going to give me a negative 2. So I know I'm not going to be able to do factoring, which tells me I got to go quadratic formula. So remember, A is 1, B is negative 2, and C is 5. So negative b would be a negative 2 plus or minus the square root. Now remember, with this b squared, you want to put that negative 2 in parentheses. And now that I have that, it's all over 2a, which would be 2 times 1. Now I'm just going to keep simplifying all the way through. X equals 2, right? The minus and negatives become a positive 2. Plus or minus 4 minus 20, all divided by 2. We'll keep it going. X equals 2 plus or minus the square root. 4 minus 20 is going to give me a negative 16. Now I have a negative underneath the square root, which tells me I'm now going to have an imaginary answer. So I'm going to end up with the square root of 16i. And we know the square root of 16i. We know the square root of 16 is 4. So we end up with 2 plus or minus 4i over 2. Now remember, I have to write this in the form of a plus bi. So right now I have it all as one fraction. I need to get it into the two pieces. So we're going to end up with x equals 2 over 2, right? We split it, plus or minus 4i over 2. And we now have it in a plus bi form. In this case, a plus or minus bi form. Now I'm really not done simplifying. I should see that 2 over 2 is going to simplify to 1. And that 4i over 2 simplifies down to 2i. Now I'm done. X equals 3 and 1 plus or minus 2i. These would be my solutions. So you could either leave 1 plus or minus 2i, or you could split them up into 3, 1 plus 2i, and 1 minus 2i. These right here would be your 3 solutions for this cubic function.